After all of the scandals that have hit the Pentagon, and specifically Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, he decided he tried to do a little cleanup. He got her up early, put some gel in his hair, powdered his face a little bit, and did a Fox and Friends hit. And it was crazy. He had some sort of, as Aaron Rupar will describe it, manic. He says Hegseth seeming quite manic on Fox and Friends this morning. And we'll look at a few of these clips, and he's melting down over people leaking stuff, and they're just disgruntled. They're disgruntled. That's the key vocab word that he'll use a lot. But before even getting into the substance, I guess first for new viewers, I should give you a tiny bit of context, which is that essentially there's a collapse in leadership. He's fired a bunch of his top officials, and he's not doing well as the defense secretary, it seems, which is not super surprising. And then you have these different scandals like Signalgate Part 1, Signalgate Part 2, and him having inappropriate discussions about sensitive information with even family members in the Signal group chat. So there's that, but also just the underlying, I think most importantly, crumbling in leadership at the Pentagon on his watch. And it's so funny because the interview, as we have reports that Trump is planning on firing Pete Hegseth, even though Trump denied that, Brian Kilmeade accidentally calls him former secretary briefly.
Here to set the record straight himself, the current Secretary of State, Pete Hegseth, former host right here on Fox and Friends. Pete, hey, great Brian. To see you, Mr. Secretary.
You don't want to make that whoopsie whenever he just may be the former Secretary of Defense pretty soon. And then he was, yesterday he didn't listen. I gave him yesterday advice on how not to come off so guilty. And he clearly wasn't watching the show yesterday, which is unfortunate because I told him don't jump and bob your body around so much because then you seem nervous. But he was even more bobby and jumpy than he was yesterday.
And get along to go along. And, start doing Meet the Press and going to the Council on Foreign Relations and spending time with all the new cocktail sipping crowd. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because President Trump asked me to bring warfighting back to the Pentagon every single day. Right. That is our focus.
Yeah, I'm not here for the cocktails, drinking with people. I drink alone. Not really, I'm sorry. But throughout this whole interview, his whole vibe is off. And here he says, Aaron Rupar had great commentary on this. I look at war plans every single day, Pete Hegseth says. And then Aaron says, we know, dude, we've seen your Signal chats. By the way, click the subscribe button if you appreciate this show. Let's continue.
When this all started, the first go around, because this is the second go around, right? They peddle old stuff, they kick it back up. I said repeatedly, no one's texting war plans. You know why I said that? Because I'm in the bowels of the Pentagon every single day.
The bowels? That's kind of weird. I know that's a phrase, but the bowels? Ugh. Listen, every day, I'm in the bowels of the Pentagon. I'm scooping poop in the Pentagon.
Repeatedly, no one's texting war plans. You know why I said that? Because I'm in the bowels of the Pentagon every single day. Just 10 minutes ago.
I am deep into the anus of the Pentagon.
No one's texting war plans. You know why I said that? Because I'm in the bowels of the Pentagon every single day. Just 10 minutes ago, I was looking at actual war plans of things that were ongoing or pending things to happen. Because that's on a regular basis, on classified systems. That's my job for the war fighters, for the President of the United States. I look at war plans every single day. What was shared over Signal, then and now, however you characterize it, was informal, unclassified coordinations for media coordination and other things. That's what I've said from the beginning. At the beginning, it was left-wing reporters from The Atlantic who got a hold of it and then wanted to create a problem for the president. This is what it's all about, trying to get at President Trump and his agenda. Now...
So at one point there, he just starts shouting at us, and he's lunging. He's doing like his finger is really... because this is for the war fighters. That's who it's for. All right, dude. The funny thing is he keeps making it out to be, as he's going to say in this next clip, some conspiracy, as we discussed yesterday, against him because someone leaked that he's talking about sensitive, confidential, potentially classified. I mean, it's classified, plans for strikes, whatever they're going to say, that's classified. And talking about that in unsecure mediums and with people who don't need to know that information. That's how information gets leaked to our adversaries. But we just heard about it, right? So it's not like you're not even alleging that the story was made up. You're just saying the conspiracy is that we heard about it. No, but we can feel, however, outraged. It's not the New York Times' fault, or before that, the Atlantic's fault, that now we know about it and are having the reaction we're going to have about it. And again, do they ever make this argument when we hear about something from a Democrat that's some sort of scandal? No. They're super glad that these stories leak than this.
Based in reality.
So, Mr. Secretary, I guess I can conclude this. We know some bizarre situation with Michael Waltz happened with the first time the whole thing with the Signal app came out. You believe this came out, they said it was called Team Huddle, because one of the people who work for you, one of the three who no longer are there, leaked this out as a way to get back at you?
Kilmeade's looking very glossy, by the way, today. very shiny. Very like some nice shiny leather.
That's right, Brian. When you dismiss people who you believe are leaking classified information, and again, the investigation is ongoing and that will take time, and when the evidence produced, it will go to DOJ, why would it surprise anybody, Brian, if those very same people keep leaking to the very same reporters whatever information they think they can have to try to sabotage the agenda of the president or the secretary? So once a leaker, always a leaker. Often a leaker. And so we looked for leakers.
Please don't say leaker again. How many times did you say leaker?
To try to sabotage the agenda of the president or the secretary. So once a leaker, always a leaker. Often a leaker. And so we looked for leakers because we take it very seriously. And we will do the investigation. Right. And if those people are exonerated, fantastic.
Yeah, we're going to look at some of the people that he fired and reports seemingly refuting these claims that maybe there's a little bit of false allegations against them. But that whole tone, my goodness, Brian Kilmeade looks really dilapidated. Oh, wow. Now I'm totally distracted. You have a whole makeup team, Brian. What is going on? And the Botox. Okay, sorry. So he starts doing if someone leaked it, then maybe they'll leak it again, and that's how you know about it, which you shouldn't know. Ugh, stop, it's so cringy. You're the defense secretary. You're the defense secretary. Speak with a level of gravitas and professionalism and charisma, not this weird, bubbly, sing-songy thing he's doing. And then here he is very adamant to make sure you know that these employees who leaked the information doesn't want to talk about the information, just that it got leaked. He wants you to know they're disgruntled. They're very disgruntled.
I don't have time for the hoax press that peddles old stories from disgruntled employees. We should be talking about the decimation of the Houthis, how we're pushing back the Chinese, how we have a new defense area at the southern border. Instead, disgruntled former employees are peddling things to try to save their ass.
Did you?
And ultimately, that's it's not going to work.
Mr. Secretary,
how would that save their ass? I don't get that at all. If they keep leaking, that's not going to save their ass. But we're talking about, we went through in detail yesterday, the insider, not even leaking private stuff, just someone who worked under Hegseth, was very loyal to him, and then left the Pentagon and is calling it in a state of total collapse, total chaos, a week from hell, were the different phrases that he was using. Again, all non-confidential information to make that point, but just saying one scandal after another, the failure of leadership, and then called on his former boss, who he was very respectful of, and he had very positive things to say about Trump. But even so, he was saying this moment, actually the case he was making was for the sake of Trump, Hegseth needs to resign. And maybe Trump's going to force him to do that pretty soon. We'll have to see. That's what NPR reports, that despite the fact that Trump is saying all these positive things and is pretending like he stands by Pete Hegseth, the shoe's about to drop. The other really crazy part of that reporting about the chaos at the Pentagon is that this former Hegseth aide, who went on the record with his name and everything, is saying from his sources within the Pentagon, many more shoes are going to drop. And there's going to be a lot more, potentially even worse scandals and bombshells hitting the Trump Pentagon and the Trump White House based on just what he saw. So why won't you address, Pete, the substance of any of that? It's just about the leaking. And that's when you know that probably they get this doesn't look too good for them. Share what you think about all of this in the comments.